Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up. An episode of The Young and the Restless, a horrific flashback from the past, appears in Sharon Newman's gripping new narrative, and we learn that she has a stalker. Suspense, surprise, and the possible rekindling of an old flame are all promised in this compelling story. The plot becomes more complex as Nick Newman becomes involved. Fans, be ready for an emotional and suspenseful ride. Hello, CBS soap opera enthusiasts. Soap Dirt on YouTube is here to speak about the recently announced Sharon Newman front-burner storyline. We want to speak about Sharon's stalker being revealed and what terrible character from her young and the Restless past has returned because it's about her acquiring a stalker and it's someone from her past. To follow her at this time. This is a major plot point for Sharon Newman on why and our beginning with the present. Then it culminates in a stalker, who might be responsible for bringing her and Nick Newman back together. Official lie and our spoilers indicate that Nick appears to be involved in this conspiracy as well. Now we have two alternative hypotheses about who this figure from her past might be who is returning to haunt her. One of them is far more tenable than the other, but we'll talk about both to be comprehensive. We'll start by discussing the scenario that seems a little less likely, but would be fantastic to see come true. Let's discuss whether Sharon's history might be coming back to haunt her in the form of Matt Clark. We're going to admit that Matt is allegedly deceased right immediately. But in soap operas, being dead isn't always a bad thing. Keep in mind that they recently revived Diane Jenkins and changed the course of Young and the Restless history to make it work. She had apparently been deceased for a long time. Could they apply the same strategy to Matt Clark's situation then? Do you recall Matt too? The part was created by Eddie Cibrian between 1994 and 1996. But Rick Hurst was playing the part at the time of Matt Clark's purported demise. This occurred in 2000 to 2001. So Matt was Nick and Sharon's high school classmate at Genoa City High School when we first met him. He was a horrible creep who victimized many people, including Sharon. He also falsely accused Nick of a number of offenses. He was Nick's main nemesis in high school back then, and on Y&R, he attacked Sharon and her closest buddy. Sharon Newman wasn't a virgin, as Matt Clark also revealed to everyone, because she became pregnant at the age of 16 by her former high school boyfriend. Naturally, the infant was later identified as Cassie Newman, but Mariah Copeland was actually Cassie's twin. You might remember that they were never on the show at the same time as twins. Cassie was portrayed by Cameron Grimes from the time of her death until she was a very young child. In order to prevent the twins from ever being seen together as youngsters, they then brought Cameron back to portray mature twin Mariah Copeland. When Matt Clark was shot back in the day, he fled and set up Nick for the crime, but it found out that it was actually one of his other victims who had shot him. Eddie Cibrian left the part at that point. He later returned in 2000 with a new face that was attributed to plastic surgery. In order to sneak around under the radar on Young and the Restless, Rick Hurst assumed the role and began going by the name Carter Mills. But it was ultimately discovered that it was Matt Clark. He immediately reverted to his former antics. He attempted to assault Sharon once more and accused Nick of drug dealing. After a terrible auto accident, he passed away. Matt had these terrible wounds and was in the hospital on a ventilator. Then he removed his breathing apparatus and used Nick Newman as a prop. However, they could easily redo this and claim that Matt Clark is still alive and coming for vengeance. We believe that the other potential candidate for Sharon Newman's stalker is more likely, though. Let's examine choice number 2. Therefore, let's briefly discuss Sharon Newman's biggest nightmare. Cameron Kirsten was the name of the man. He didn't spend a lot of time on Young and the Restless. November 2003 through August 2004 were covered by it. But Cameron stood out, frightening but unforgettable. Therefore, the fact that actor Lyndon Ashby portrayed Cameron Kirsten led us to believe that this flashback from Sharon's past might be him. And Susan Walters, who plays Diane Jenkins, is actually married to Lyndon Ashby. Therefore, it makes natural that they would pick him for a plot point, to make his wife happy so she can see him at work. At Y&R's 50th anniversary, Lyndon Ashby and Susan Walters walked the red carpet together. A husband walking alongside you is not all that unusual, but it may be yet another indication that they have succeeded in bringing him back. Additionally, Lyndon Ashby was pictured alone in several of the red carpet images from that occasion. These minor details suggest that Lyndon might be reprising his role as Cameron Kirsten because he fits the description of the May Sweeps narrative. On Young and the Restless, it's something very horrifying from the past. Nick participates in it in some way. In light of this, let's discuss briefly about Cameron Kirsten. When he ran into Sharon while in Genoa City to close a deal at Newman Enterprises, he recognized her right away. He threatened to divulge a Denver-related incident, which offended her. Sharon went to Denver because, while dating Nick Newman, she kissed Victor Newman. She then took out for Denver after fleeing Genoa City. She slept with Cameron after meeting him at a bar. She was shocked to learn that he was a violent man later. She was quite angry that she had kissed Victor Newman, and she also didn't want Nick to find out that she had slept with Cameron or kissed his father. And this jerk kept saying he will tell Nick. She finally consented to meet Cameron at this no-tell motel after he threatened her repeatedly. But when she first encountered him there, Sharon told him she wouldn't sleep with him, and he immediately snapped. In response, Sharon used a champagne bottle to strike Cameron Kirsten in the head. She moved his corpse into a dumpster after assuming he was dead and then fled. Of course, he wasn't actually dead. In the subsequent episodes of Young and the Restless, actor Lyndon Ashby continued to portray the character and appeared to haunt and con Sharon into believing she was seeing Cameron's spirit. Later, he reappeared alive and continued to act as if nothing had happened. But much worse, in the interim, he had murdered Frank Barrett, the father of Cassie and Mariah and Sharon's first high school sweetheart. Later, after Frank's body was discovered, Sharon was charged with murder. However, she later told Nick Newman the truth about everything, including the events involving his father. Cameron, though, refuted all of her claims about him. Sharon was then charged with murder. Furthermore, she consented to allow Cameron Kirsten to fly her out of the country. She and Cameron had no idea that Nick had boarded the private plane without them. So after they were on the airplane, Sharon Newman became upset and attempted to leap out of the aircraft to end her life in midair. The three of them ended up jumping out of the plane using parachute when Cameron pulled her back and Nick emerged. After landing in this cornfield, they bound Cameron and dialed 911. Cameron Kirsten was thus being detained and enraged at what they had done to him when we last saw him. He would therefore be a great stalker for Sharon Newman, new or old. And this week on Young and the Restless, we had a strong indication that Cameron Kirsten has made a return. First off, Susan Walters, as Diane, a current contract cast member, is married to actor Lyndon Ashby, who plays him. Second, the person stalking Sharon Newman was watching her open the present he had left for her at Crimson Lights. It was a champagne bottle. It's also likely the same vintage as the bottle she used to kill him in the past. Too bad he made it. If you don't recognize Lyndon Ashby from his brief appearance on Y&R, Cameron Kirsten is the wife of Susan Walters. Perhaps you recognize him from one of his other well-known performances. In the 1990s, he portrayed Dr. Brett Cooper on Melrose Place, and more recently, he appeared on Teen Wolf. In both the Teen Wolf movie and TV show, he portrayed the sheriff. We have some images of Ashby in this video to help you remember some of the many other film and television roles he has played. What do you think then? Do you have any hope that Matt Clark will make a miraculous recovery? Do you believe it's more plausible that Lyndon Ashby, Susan Walters' husband, returned to Young and the Restless to play Cameron Kirsten once more? Personally, I believe it to be the latter, and the first hints of this plot will be revealed on Friday, May 19 and Monday, May 22. This plot is meant to separate Nick Newman from Sally Spectra. Keep in mind that he just assured her that he loved her and that nothing would separate them. That something happens to keep them apart since Nick has to put Sharon Newman's safety first when she is shortly in danger. So, with Sharon's new front burner plot, there are many things in the works. She has recently been serving as the other characters go to source for coffee and therapy. So it is definitely past time that she had a substantial plot of her own. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to our channel and stay with us.